And hello, everyone. It is your girl, Caitlin, here. It is another magical episode of Catching Up with Caitlin, and you got 2 episodes this week, and that's because I wanted to shout out the cast community. And guys, if you have not watched the stream last week or on Monday, please go and rewatch that. It's ways to help tons of cast members who are currently in need from the situation from COVID-19 and all the layoffs, especially since California is relentless and probably won't reopen for a while. We just heard news today that he does not want to reopen anytime soon. But other than that, I just wanted to do a few little shout outs here. Just to let you guys know, Allie, thanks all of you for her amazing support on her drawing Instagram. Thank you again for the tremendous support she's had on that. Animation_drawing_adventure is her personal drawing page, and she also is big on TikTok, and if you guys want to follow her, you can always message her and ask her. And if we are live, and since we are live, please, guys, go check out Dean from the Live Place. He's sponsoring this episode. He's a part of the Movie Marathon Week. He came up with it, and make sure you guys go support him. Dreamers Empire here on YouTube, Live Place YouTube channel, as well as the liveplace.com. If you guys want to check out any of the previous episodes or the other episodes, please go to liveplace.com and make sure you guys choose the movies filter, and it'll show all the events from this past week, starting at last Saturday with Road Trip Dave, all the way up until tonight, including myself. Again, just want to shout out a small business. Guys, please continue to support Arizona Dream. They just went out of quarantine for the first time in almost 3 years. Because their little one has a life-threatening disease. So please go and support them, buy their stickers, buy their cups. They just came out with a Jack and Sally inspired cup. They came out with a Little Mermaid inspired cup, and it's beyond awesome. And again, TikTok, Crazy Curvy Lindsay, it's Arizona, and Arizona Dream. As well as, guys, make sure you guys support all the cast members who made magic for us, whether you're in the park or out of the park. It's extremely appreciated, and trust us, a lot of us don't get it enough. And I had it, but I have a guest here with me. And you want to give Bob, you want to give you a thumbs up when you're good to go? All right, we got a guest. We have Bob.
Hey, how are you, everybody?
He's our first to our channel. He was on our stream on Monday. For those of you guys who don't know, please give love to him and all the cast members. Unfortunately, he was one of the 28,000 cast members who were laid off over last week. And it's a really unfortunate time for all of us. But I thought The Greatest Showman is a great movie. It cheers us up, and it gets you through the end of the day.
It actually is a great feel-good movie with a lot of catchy tunes. So, if any movie that I needed to watch right now to catch up on again that I hadn't seen in a while, this was a feel-good movie. I like this.
Yeah. So with that, we're going to say hello to the chat. Before we get started, we have a big Disney fan who was in here 15 minutes before the stream started. So thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. I hope you are doing well. Our mod extraordinaire, James Ryan, who's going live from Pop Century Resort, which is actually personally one of my favorites. I enjoy it very much.
Hey, James.
We got Dean from the Live Place here with us tonight, guys. Go and send love to the Live Place. If you guys haven't subscribed to him, please go subscribe to him. He's not at 1K yet, and I don't understand why, because he sponsored all of us here in the live stream, whether it's small channels like us or Resort TV 1. I think Dean needs to get to 1K.
Well, see, Dean refers to myself and he as vintage, so it takes a while for wine to age. So at one point, eventually, he's just going to go boom, and there'll be a ton of subscribers, but not yet.
Whoa. I'm trying to get him there. Rob Buzz, I know, is trying to get him there. We got Jim from More Sunshine, please. Hello. He's the inspiration for my latest stream series called Disney Parks 101. The final episode is coming. I just got to ask my guest when he's going to come on. We might pre-record it and do it as a premiere. We're not sure yet. Let's see who else is here. Jane and Travels, thank you for being here. I know you guys have been in the replays. Thank you for watching the replays, especially on the cast member stream. That was much appreciated. And we got Michelle the Quilter. Hello. I love this film too. One of my absolute favorites. And again, guys, we have, and James, James, you're already on this. Thank you. This is the stream, the link to One Stop Mouse's channel. Please, guys, go check him out and subscribe to him, especially since now he's got more time on his hands.
Thank you.
From being laid off, that means you can do more YouTube. You can also help people who want to go to Disney, go through the application process, because it is pretty scary,
Well, I was an itinerary planner with Disney before I got canned, or sacked, like Mr. Banks. That was his term, right? So I can. That's my specialty. I got to know everything about everything. If anybody wants to know anything, just get in touch with me. Message me through Instagram or something.
Exactly. Jim, before I forget, I need to message you because my dates are coming up soon. We have just passed the 3-week mark till I come back home, and I'm beyond excited to go home. And guys, I'll be going live in the parks, but I don't know when. But as soon as I get a time of what I want to do, I will certainly let you guys know. And also, I got to meet up with a couple of people and give their promised VIP tours of Disney Springs, because I don't think the story is shared enough at Disney Springs. I think that they have a beautiful story to tell. And we also have Lauren Park. Hello. Nice to see you. All right, and with that, everyone's in chat. And guys, if you are here, please go share out the stream out. Make sure others in the Disney community can come and join us, because I think Disney and The Greatest Showman is now intertwined, now that 21st Century Fox, who actually produced this movie, is associated with Disney now. Fox is owned by Disney. So this is definitely a part of the Disney bubble. I hope that it'll come to the parks in some way. I think it deserves to be in the parks, but it'll be so much fun. So are you ready to go into this adventure?
Yeah. I heard they're actually in pre-production for a sequel to this. They just don't produce that much because of COVID type stuff.
I've heard that,
and I was going to precursor this because whenever I watch this movie, I think of right after the chain of events that happened in this movie that we're about to talk about with all these tunes and everything. He basically, P.T. Barnum basically fell in love with a little town that was a little further out on Long Island, sticking out of, from New York than his father-in-law, who had a house near the beach. And it was a little town called Port Jefferson. And that's the town that I grew up in. And so
awesome.
the street next to mine was called Barnum Avenue. And there was this huge Victorian house there that I actually, when I was going to college, I did a lot of work with the town restoring this house. And I learned all about how this was P.T. Barnum's winter house, where he took all of his oddities and animals and wintered there. And actually, he made a huge fortune from settling in my hometown, because he found this hill called Brick Hill. And it was a special type of clay that they were making all the bricks in Manhattan in their huge expansion. And so he made a huge fortune from buying 40 acres of land that had this special clay. And anyway, so he has a lot of history in the, if you want to look up Port Jefferson, Long Island, the town that P.T. Barnum discovered. It was very interesting. But every time I watch something about P.T. Barnum, I think of this. So
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So I think for me, the biggest connection for me with The Greatest Showman is the oddities in this film. It's the perfect intertwinement for me as a disabled person, how I view life. Because these people, they did feel ashamed. And sometimes when you're first starting disabled life, you do feel like you have to be fixed in a way or to fit into society's boxes. But throughout the film, there's a beautiful change of emotion where they're like, no, we don't need to change. We're who we are. We're perfect just the way we are. And we have a lot to share to the world. And this is at a time where, disabled people weren't even seen outside. They were in basements and they were hidden away from the public. And to see that in a film come to life is something that I wish more movies showed. It's something that's more modern and frankly needs to be put onto kids in public these days, that we're just as normal as everyone else and we have the same things in life we want as you do. And I think that's the most beautiful part. But the music, I think, is what everyone thinks of with The Greatest Showman. However, I need to shout out to Zendaya and Zac Efron. I think they did a lot of work with trapeze with this movie.
Yeah.
Zendaya said that she got a call from Michael Gracie, who is the director, and it was the first time he's directed a featured film on the screen. He was formerly a commercial director in Australia. That's how Hugh Jackman met him, was through a commercial out there, and he decided to bring him on into this project. Took Hugh Jackman 7.5 years to make this film, from the idea to when Fox greenlighted the project, which basically means that Fox said, okay, we can make this movie. And the cast is a big, ginormous cast with Hugh Jackman as P.T. Barnum. We have Zac Efron as Philip Carlyle, Zendaya as Ann Wheeler. Pretty big list we have. And for those of you who don't know, Zendaya and Zac Efron both had come from Disney, so I kind of wanted to see how their relationship was going to go with this. Because they obviously intertwined with Disney in a much different time than the original films or when they came up with Disney. So I think the first number that stands out in my head is the anthem of the movie, and the anthem of this movie is "This Is Me," and it's something I have used as my life motto nowadays. And it's something that's more fun and attractive to enjoy the song, to feel the emotion, because I think that's what really comes through in the song is the emotion. And the bearded lady, for those of you guys who don't know, she was on Broadway for 13 years before this film. They featured her all through workshops, all the way until the final workshop, until the director of Fox got up from their chair after singing This Is Me in a green light session, and got up from his chair and he said, "Welcome to your first major motion picture." And that's how she found out that she was going to be in this film. And I think that's pretty cool. And man, she has a voice of an angel.
She does. And when you see how pretty she is actually in real life without the beard and the makeup, Keela Settle is her name.
Keela Settle is
yeah, she's got a voice
awesome.
like really like an opera singer. So that is a great scene. This Is Me.
People.
That is a great scene because you're going through all these other things, A Million Dreams, and P.T. Barnum and his woman are growing up together and come alive, and he's becoming a success. And the other side with Zac Efron, he convinces him to get in it and everything, but once he's made it big and he's in the classy section, right, because he has Jenny Lind and he's with high society and he can stick it to his father-in-law who always said he was never going to make it. These people who are devoted to him, that, it's like, well, this guy believes in us. He shuts the door in their face and won't let them back into this private party because they're not good enough. And then they have the "This Is Me" anthem. And think of, it's so great that you've got this film, it's historically correct, basically, and it's a great thing to bring back to this time, to be a great story of it, to talking about inclusion.
Yeah, inclusion in the disability community is so important, and that's why I entered this Disney YouTube community, because I have seen people like It's Joey's World. We have Mama Mouse from Myers and the Mouse. We have tons of others here on YouTube. Viaproof Project also, with, children, adults, including myself, I say young adult because I'm under the age of 30, but...
You're young, trust me. Yeah, according to my book, you're young, whippersnapper.
Well, let's just say I was only given a 20% chance to live when I was born. So medically, doctors say when I'm turned 24, they're like, you're old in the medical book considering what you were given a chance for.
Well, you're beating the odds. That's great. That's great.
I had a lot of odds stacked against me, but I worked through them. But I think this is what this film is so... It does so well, and I think that they really did make sure that disabled people, I feel like, did put an input on this film. What happened.
James says you're all young from my vantage point.
James,
You know, when I meet you, James, tomorrow, if I walk into that restaurant and I see Yoda, I'll know exactly who you are.
I love that. But I do think inclusion in this film is so important. And it shows that humanity, if we come together as one human race and as humanity comes together. I think a great example of this was during 9/11. You know, just after this happened, everyone was united, whether you were from James again.
Full Caitlin giggle. Are you going to timestamp it? This is something James does. I was made aware of that on the last stream.
Yes.
That he obsessively timestamps Caitlin giggles.
Yep.
So.
What was I talking about? I lost my train of thought.
Oh, sorry. You were talking about 9/11 and a connection to inclusion, I believe.
Yeah. So, 9/11, everyone came together after 9/11. Whether you were in the United States or not, you heard about somebody who was in the, the crossfires of this. And you just saw people helping people. And I think that's really what got us through that really, and really count them in being together as one and helping others. I think that's what P.T. Barnum did so well. And most people, I understand where some people didn't understand how the animals section as nowadays, how they took care of animals. However, the way he brought people together and just didn't care about what they looked like or what they came from. He just saw the talent. And that's what we need today in employment and in the workforce. That's what we need. And that's why I think Disney is a great example for that. But this whole film is so much about inclusion, and it does it so well that it deserves to be seen, Alrighty.
62, Keith, 63. So James is going to be 63 in November.
Yay.
Which means he's 3 years older than Dean at the live place, and Dean is 2 years older than me. So we have a whole parade of old guys, and a young giggler. So there you go. Okay, so yes, I love this movie too very much, and it's one of those movies that is so full of great songs, and they're all those kind of songs that stick in your head.
They're great.
So I've been singing Never Enough all day long, and my wife is like, stop.
Well, I'll talk about the film writers here. So the songwriters for this film were actually the same songwriting duo from La La Land that won a ton of Oscars and Emmys from that movie. Mm-hmm. Did a fantastic job. They actually got them recording music before La La Land. So that one just must have had bigger things. Also, I found a fun fact out. What's the name of the song again?
In La La Land?
The other side. The other side.
The other side. Oh, great. What a great dance battle that is. I love that. That's a great scene.
Efron, come on. And Zac Efron, I wanted to see how his voice sounded. Because, guys, it has been since 2010 since Zac Efron sang. Because that's when the last High School Musical came out. He has not been in any musical productions since then. And I really wanted to see how his voice matured since High School Musical.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many years has that been?
It's almost 10 years now.
Wow.
It's crazy. Because that's when High School Musical 3. Because fun fact, he never sang in the first movie, the first High School Musical. He started singing in the second movie. The first movie is actually Drew Seeley, who is really big on Another Cinderella Story, which I love those movies.
Right.
Anyways, Zac Efron, I feel like did phenomenal in this song. He did it with. He kind of did it with a little bit of a lower tone than he usually did in his High School Musical movies, which was cool to see. I also liked in the bartender that's behind the bartender. Is actually the choreographer.
Is he really?
For the song. And they said they had to use him because at the end when he was sliding the drinks, they said he was the only one who could do it on point because it's actually that sound is actually played with the recording. It's not like it was filmed live.
Yeah.
So apparently they said it took like 80 or 90 takes to get to that final product, because with the drinks, sliding alone. And I'm like,
it's interesting how they use beat to a lot of stuff that's going on. The taps of Barnum's cane, and when he and his kids are hammering up the flyers for people who are odd, it's like bump bump of each hammer beat. I wouldn't be surprised one day if they actually took this and then actually made it into a Broadway musical. It would be the perfect conversion.
They were thinking about it. But making this into a Broadway production, I think that would be phenomenal. Obviously, the other side might not be the greatest on stage.
No, right.
But however, most of the songs would play really well with Hollywood production. And if somehow Lin-Manuel Miranda got involved with this, just shouting it out, if he can get involved in the Broadway production, that would make it even 10 times more, because Hamilton turned out great. Hey, and we got Rob Buzz in the house. Hi. And you're never late. You're on time.
Hey, Rob, how are you? Thanks I saw you were watching the interview I had with that crazy Disney lady.
Crazy. I can't believe you got her on your stream, because she has gotten big as of lately.
She is busy. And we almost had like a mix-up where it didn't happen. And then the second I got off, she had another stream going. I'm like, wow, you're busy. So, yeah.
Right, yeah, Tanya's great.
You just asked nice. All right, so I was thinking, I didn't know how we were going to go about this, but I was thinking about like going through a progression. I mean, it's one of those films.
Let's do it.
It's one of those films where the entire film is great, and it's a musical where it progresses from one song to the other, on story point. So the first one, A Million Dreams, obviously, that's where they're growing up, and that picture up there is towards the end of that Million Dreams sequence that comes and goes, and I thought that was the most beautiful part, where the young couple is finally together and they're up on top of this moonlit rooftop in the city, and there are sheets all over the place hanging, and they're dancing through them. That really made me think of La La Land, actually. It was very beautiful.
It's awesome.
So, and then the two little kids meeting, and then, being drawn apart because the father is so stern, and she's a rich young girl. He's a poor little tailor's son. Don't come near my daughter, and he slaps them, and they write from afar, and stay close and fall in love from afar. And he shows up as a young man, and basically she just says goodbye to her parents, and she says, and the dad goes, well, she'll be back. And she only goes back when PT forgets who he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think what's cool is it shows the progression, because I, as a filmmaker, I'm trying to imagine how the progression would be from, young P.T. Barnum transition to Hugh Jackman, because obviously those are two totally different actors. So I was wondering to see how that transition would play out. And I think the song did a great job, showing the progression of the letters sent to charity throughout the time, seeing how difficult it was for him just to stay as a boy without his father, had to live on the streets, tried to get everything he could,
including that great shot that's a foreshadowing for the rest of the thing, where he's hungry, he goes to steal some bread from a cart, he runs, the guy comes and beats him up and pulls it away out of his arms, and then this young deformed woman actually comes and offers him an apple. So, it's that, and then later Tom Thumb, and then all of a sudden it's like, there's a story behind these people, and they're real people, and that was all. But you're right, it was a great way to have music and exposition in that whole thing, and then so it's kids, and then all of a sudden you're under the carriage and seeing these legs, and you're seeing the daughter's family home, and then this young man's walking up and he takes off his hat and his face is exposed, and it all kind of links together.
It's amazing.
Really well, where, that doesn't always link together really well. I've seen things where I'm like, who's that guy? Is that him grown up? So yeah, they did a good job.
He does a great job. And man, he does look good. And I can tell you probably most.
I'm not going to speak to that, but I'll believe you.
He definitely looks sharp. Let's just say that.
Yes.
Even in
he's
the
a charismatic, handsome, very talented guy, obviously.
And very down to grounded. I've been watching today. I've been watching throughout the day. Press interviews he did for this film seemed really, really positive. Said hello. Gave a hug or gave a handshake to every reporter he talked to. So I feel like he has very grounded still as well. He's not into how some people are into fame, and they're not knowing to be interactive with people. But I think he still sees everyone as a people and as somebody who has a job to make. And man, I respect him for it, because there's not many people in the entertainment industry that still do that.
Well, and then there's this game that he and Ryan Reynolds, who are good friends, they play this game, especially at public events, about who's the most conceited and who's more famous and who has the bigger head. And of course, neither of them do.
No, they're two of the most humble people on the planet.
So yeah, that's
but anyways,
cool.
Yeah, Million Dreams. My favorite section with A Million Dreams is actually the train station scene, where Charity and Barnum leaves the house. They enter the train station. They have tons of smoke around them. Kind of shows a cool foreshadowing, and ends up Barney asks on one knee, and you couldn't see Charity's face, but you already knew from the way the camera was set. You knew that she was so excited, she was. In shock, being like, oh. And that was the greatest show. The Million Dreams is great. And I think a lot of ASL interpreters signed the song really, really so well. If you guys want to check out an ASL transportation of the song, it's great. And it can show emotion, which in ASL does so well. And most people forget about that. So this is a great song to watch.
She was so happy just to be there. It's very interesting how she was totally buying into his lifestyle, his circuit, even if he had been poor all of his life, and it wasn't until he got a big head and forgot where he was that anyway. Yeah, and then of course he starts to become somewhat of a success once he takes his daughter's advice, kinda. Why do you have this museum of dead things? Why don't you get live people?
Which I do think is kind of a cool name for a museum, by the way. The Museum of Curiosity.
Oh, yeah. And that's what the Queen actually says when they go to England. It's like they don't, the announcer for them, he doesn't know what to say. Introducing Phineas Barnum and his band of oddities from America.
But I'm imagining if. Yes, James. Okay, keeps time stamping them.
You go for it. It's not like you're making her self-conscious. That would never happen because some guy is time stamping her every emotion. It couldn't happen. So Come Alive is very energetic, and everything's happening. He's standing out there previously with his. What was it called? Museum of Oddities. He's standing there, and the only people who have tickets are his two daughters and his wife. He sells like 3 tickets. Then he starts thinking about things, and Come Alive starts with him standing out in front of his, not quite, but almost to be called a circus, and
which is crazy, and
people are coming in. Yeah, he's basically playing up on this. Any press is better than no press. So when he starts getting really bad press, he basically tells his guy at the gate, get this all over the place, that we're terrible, that we're scum, that we're, because it's noise. So
I loved how the way the song introduced, because it was showing obviously we knew the entire cast was coming together, so they knew to be posting things on scoreboards, and they see the curtains drop and the beat starts, and you just see the trail of thought that goes through the people's minds as the song progresses, and it's the coolest thing to watch on screen.
So do you remember the part where the bearded lady, he's trying to convince, PT is trying to convince the bearded lady to come out from the back. And he's like, they'll love you. They just have to get to know you. Trust me. And she comes out, and the very first shot they show is there's an astounded woman standing there, and she pushes her little girl behind her.
But the little girl then
comes out and is astounded
and smiles.
And then Tom Thumb comes out on his horse, and he's
So
what does this say? There's some lines here from the song. It's, no, we're living in no shadows. You and me, we know how that goes. Because once you see it, oh, you'll never be the same. You know, so he's becoming successful, and all of the troupe, obviously, for the first time in their life. When he went to Tom Thumb's house, his mother wouldn't admit that she had a son. And he had to pull out a thing saying, well, I have a birth record that says you have a 22-year-old son, and that's the only reason she even let him in the door. That's how undercover disabled were back then. And
that's just crazy to me how far we've come, but we still have a long way to go in our world compared to a lot of other minorities. Not saying that they're not important, but we got a long road ahead of us to, to be in the same playing field, for one, and for two, to allow us to be the humans we can be. But I think that song reminds me of the, my acceptance into Disney, and how that first section of my college program journey and how that got to me. I kind of started realizing, it started going through my brain. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Like, why can't I? So that song kind of had a personal connection with how my brain changed from a middle school kid who was bullied every single day, didn't cry until I would get home from school because I didn't want to show emotion and let the bully win. But at the same time, it still hurt. Then to come into high school with this new outlook to say, okay, I can work for Disney. I can graduate with my high school degree. Like, I can do this. And then Come Alive, like, it's a really good show of that. And the best part, I think, is the whole dance number right at the end with Hugh Jackman with the hat flip. Come on. Yeah. Like, who else does a hat flip better than him?
Well, you know what's interesting, too? I'm sure you remember this. At two important moments when he's trying to see, does the audience accept me? This poor boy who wasn't supposed to ever go anywhere. The two moments, one is when, he has his first big performance at his circus. And the second time is when he introduces Jenny Lind. And as the crowds in both of those scenes, at the culmination of both of those scenes, stand up, it's quiet. And then muted audio coming up. It's like you're in the moment with him, and he's looking, and he sees people clapping, but he can't really believe it, and it kind of comes up. And I thought that was really effective because you're sort of in shock with him.
Great.
Yeah.
And I love that the moment was in slow motion for both of them. Because it really showed the emotion he was feeling. But he also couldn't accept it. It was too much, too. Like, it was
overwhelming.
Cool for him to react to, but it was also too overwhelming. It's like an everyday thing for me with overstimulation attacks, but for him, it's not an everyday occurrence.
And then we went to, we started talking about the other side already, but then it kind of developed, it moves to that.
Yeah, the other side's great. This, for those of you guys who haven't watched the film, the other side is basically P.T. Barnum is trying to get Philip Carlyle, who produces plays and is in the theater business, and he doesn't seem happy with this job. He's kind of not really cares about the ticket sales, because obviously the first line Philip says to Philip Carlyle is, "Do you produce this play?" And he says, "Well, refunds are at the box office." So
when he finds them, he's standing outside of his play, rich but miserable, a trust fund kid, And he's drinking out of a flask when he says that to him and then puts it away quick. And PT kind of can tell right away he's miserable, and he literally, this whole thing is this kind of a dance conversation / singing with these two guys in a bar in between shots, and it's like, I know you don't want that life anymore. I can show you freedom. And he's like, you don't know what I want. How do you know I don't want the money? And it's very well choreographed. It's very memorable. If you just get on YouTube after we're done talking and just look at The Greatest Showman, the other side scene, and just watch that, you'll be like, wow, that's awesome.
And the cool thing is, on the remix album, it has a rap and R&B kind of vibe with the song. And that's pretty cool to listen to that kind of a different version of the song. I like the original better, however, but great choreographed. The guy behind the bar is the choreographer, so obviously he has to be a part of this.
I think that's great. I'm glad you told me that. I mean, it's perfect. We'll just have the choreographer behind the bar. He can do it.
Exactly. And Hugh and I feel like this is also Zac Efron's mind saying, can I do this? Like, am I not going to be accepted either? Because, by the theater community anymore, by my family. Because he had an inheritance. He had all this money from filming plays, and he was about to throw that all away. And he's like, why do I want to throw that away? But then decides, wait, maybe I should try something new here.
Yeah. Obviously, P.T. Barnum was that sort of razzle-dazzle original showman who sucked people in. I heard that said about Walt Disney. They basically that people would say about Walt Disney, like they said about Barnum. If you sat down and listened to the wild dreams of this guy, you'd think you were the most important person in the world, and you had to go on this adventure with him. And why would he not do that at the end of that bar scene?
Well, speaking of Walt Disney, actually somebody made a cosplay of this entire movie in sequences of these songs from Walt Disney's career. Like going from childhood to animation. So I think it's on Facebook. You'll have to look it up. But that's great. But I do think that the end of this song is when it really comes to another section of the film. And that is the beautiful, beautiful interaction of the meeting of Ann Wheeler and Zac Efron.
Yeah.
B.T. Barnum goes right up to the top of the stage. They're about to show, and Wheeler's on the on the trapeze in the hoop, and she swings, and they meet him
right into his face, and like they fall in love right there. Yeah,
exactly, and they fall away. And the both of the actors said that there was a painting that was made of this specific moment because Michael Gracie wanted this to be perfect, and it shows a big section. And they were hoping that, oh my gosh, we're hoping that we're going to be as good as the painting. But I've never seen the painting, so I can't make a judgment.
Wow.
But, that moment was just a picture-perfect moment in on screen, on camera, that I think I've ever seen. And it's such a different way of introducing a love interest to the film. Like, usually you would just have, like, a not a dumb conversation, but, like, a light...
Well, what's interesting is they have that meeting, sort of like when Jenny Lynn looks at Barnum. The first time that she meets them at the Queens, there you can see she's just taken with him, and then also here too. But right after that thing goes on with the trapeze, when she actually meets him down below backstage, she asks him what his act is, and he's like, I don't have an act. She's like, everybody has an act. Like, she's suspicious of him right away because of the whole thing that they go through later with an interracial love, So
which
anyway,
sometimes it's a problem today.
Oh yeah, of course it is. I mean, so much. It's amazing how little has changed.
People understand that love is love, and you can't.
I don't know.
That sounds like Small World.
It is actually, and I don't know how many times I've turned it off now. I'm ready to like put it out in the hallway outside of here. Okay, so anyway, moving along. This song is ridiculous because this is like
Rebecca
the
Ferguson
Frozen
in this movie.
anthem for this movie. You know, this is such a amazing, powerful scene when she walks out and just is belting this out. Let's see. That's Lauren Allred saying that, and that's Rebecca Ferguson, Norwegian actress who actually was in one of the Mission Impossible movies, and she does a great job of.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she does a great job of performing it like she's actually singing it because they're right on top of her, and I mean. I can see the director basically saying, this has got to be great music, and we want everybody to fall in love with you. And basically, I was like, I'm falling in love with her. I can see why P.T. Barnum would. I think he was, but he wouldn't admit it, and he's devoted to his family. She definitely fell in love with him.
Yes.
But, yeah, that was...
I thought the costume choice for this one was spectacular. Shout out to the costumers for this movie.
Oh, my goodness.
It was really... identical to the time period, which is really hard to get in some films, to get the time period correct and to make sure that the great example of that is Hidden Figures. The set designs and the costume designs of that film were spot on, and it helped actually add to the story, and I think this one does just as well. Jenny Lind with the
did you see what she was wearing in the Queen's Court when PT first met her? With this high collar and everything. I was like, whoa.
It was beautiful. I loved it, and shout out to all the costumers because I know that's not easy to put all those costumes together.
Yeah,
especially with corsets being involved.
If you guys have not heard this song, Never Enough, you probably haven't, just don't know that you haven't. Once you've heard this song, it'll be like hearing Let It Go from Frozen. You'll be singing it all the time, and it'll be stuck in your head for a week.
Mine is This Is Me, got stuck with me. For the first, actually, Come Alive was the first one that got stuck in my head, and then This Is Me went right after. And then on the remix version there's a remix album that came about a year after the film came out, and Kelly Clarkson sings this song. Phenomenal job with this song. Obviously not as good as Lauren Allred.
Oh, with Never Enough. Actually, I think I've heard the Kelly Clarkson version. It is, she's awesome at belting out songs, so it's
great.
A perfect
she's
song.
She's an artist who can do everything.
Yeah, she is.
Have you seen her she does a, if you guys don't watch the Kelly Clarkson show, I've enjoyed her talk show. She does a cover of the day to kind of calm her anxiety and nerves. Because she's so used to singing with the microphone. So she does a song every day, and the amount of variety of songs, artists, genres, so cool to watch. And for me, I was a huge Shania Twain fan, so when she did what song did she do? Any Man of Mine? Man.
Any Man of Mine.
So good. And I listened to her music when I was still nonverbal. Which is interesting. A lot of people are like, that's an interesting song choice for a nonverbal child. But my mom's like, I'm letting her listen to what she listens to because that makes her happy. And that's all I want at the end of the day.
When did you start to talk? Was that a delayed?
I was nonverbal until the age of 5. And it was watching Toy Story. And my first word was Barney, which was the dinosaur.
Really?
It's funny. And my mom's like, I don't know why you said that when watching Toy Story, which was one of my favorites. And she's like, it was weird. And also the first year was rough because my sister was born also.
Yeah.
So she was born when I was 6. And so it would have been like a year and a half since I would have talked. So I'm trying to imagine a mom with a newborn and a daughter who just started talking. Whoa.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
interesting. However, it made life a lot easier because then she knew when she started crawling at 6 months, she's like, okay, Ellie's good. And now she got a typical, she got to have some of the experience of having, a newborn going through the typical stages, which is good.
Oh my goodness.
Because my road was not easy.
No, I
And
wouldn't
she had
imagine it would
terrible
be.
pregnancies with either one of us. She lost around 50 pounds with me, and she only gained about 20 pounds with my sister. So she was pretty sick. She couldn't enjoy any of it. So more the outside of, pregnancy was when she had fun.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
My
All
mother's
right,
the strongest human
so
being on the planet.
so we hit This Is Me,
Yep, we're gonna
sung
go to rewrite
by
the
Kiala
stars.
Settle, right, which is the most awesome, sassy, great song and dance, and it really has the whole audience on top of them. And then we started talking a little. The next song is Rewrite the Stars, and
Oh, I love this
you can
song.
see Zac Efron up there and Zendaya, and the
Zendaya.
choreography of that and the whole thing.
That turn is what blew my mind.
He's trying to profess his love, and they're kind of playing acrobatics with her. There's this hoop and this line up over a pulley with a big heavy sandbag, and they keep playing with it like Jack Sparrow on a pirate ship, and so she's just barely out of reach, and then he's it's very well choreographed conversation between this man and this woman about how I love you, we'll make it work. And it's like, no, it's 1800s New York, and a lot of people are looked down upon for having. I mean, at that time, look at Martin Scorsese's film like Gangs of New York. At that time, you couldn't even be in a relationship if you were like Italian and Irish, and and there's a person of color and not. So it might not seem like a big deal to us, but she's like, this isn't going to work, and you'll have to go through heck and high water to be with me, and your family's going to disown you. So, but because right before this, they've actually been.
She doesn't want that either.
Right, and they've been in their first touch. Basically, was they were watching Jenny Lind up in the standing only seats. Never Enough, and they're holding hands, and as soon as Zac Efron's, or Philip, I guess is his name in the movie, as soon as his parents see him, he lets her hand go, and so he's got to fight back to tell her, I'm not ashamed of you. I know you feel for me, but the way they do it is great. It's not just words; it's very symbolic. He's running up the stairs to be where she is, and.
Well, and I think the thing in the beginning is what really sets up the song. So, for those of you who haven't seen the film, P.T. Barnum saves tickets for the theater for Anne, because she's never been to a theater production. Obviously, right. At that time, oddities altogether weren't allowed to go to the theater, and the only way she could is if she had a connection. So she leaves a ticket. The showman a ticket box that they showed 2, and she's like, I don't think there's supposed to be 2. And then right. Zac Efron or Philip Carlisle approaches her, and he's like, yeah, there's supposed to be 2. He's like, I didn't think you would come if I would ask. And that made me really sad at that time to see that if you had that kind of relationship, that you probably wouldn't ask because you didn't want them to feel ashamed. And I think that's so sad.
And that's actually, I forgot that. It's reinforced twice. That's the second time on the stairways coming in there that the parents are like, they actually say with her right there, it's like, why are you going out with the help? And she runs away before this.
And then he says to the parents, don't you dare talk to her like that. Right. Like she's a human.
It's too bad she couldn't have heard that, but it ends up good.
Well, so. How would you feel if you were that time period and a person just said that to you in front of your face? I would run away too.
Yeah.
At least, especially at that time period, because you already weren't outside that much, and when you are outside, you're typically with connections or you're with family, or you kind of stay hidden away. The first time she kind of really goes out, of the circus and works their way over there, she shows that. So to have somebody crush her as soon as she enters the theater.
Without the racial part of it, just the social order part of it as well, Jenny Lind sort of says something telling to PT when they're at the after party from her performance, where he shuts out his troupe of players, and his father-in-law comes in, doesn't even know who his granddaughters are, and he kind of sticks it in his face that, hey, I'm successful, and Jenny Lynn toasts him and then basically tells him that she's from a weird background, out of wedlock birth, and that I can't remember the line exactly, but it's, it basically was saying that people of privilege and in wealth don't really understand it all that much, which I thought was very telling.
It's an interesting line.
Yeah, I have to. The way she said it, I almost have to go back and watch it again. It's almost like she's trying to tell him, you don't have to stick it to him. He'll never understand what you're trying to stick him with. These rich people around you really aren't that connected with what's going on in the world, and they don't think like you, and they say things they don't mean because they don't have any idea what they're saying. It was very interesting, that she'd been this person in society feeling like an outsider all this time, she said, and realizing that these people don't really think about what they're doing. And I'll have to go back and look at that. But there are a couple of moments in the film like that. All right, anyway. Yeah. And then we went to another great song. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say hey, we got Mouse Talk in the house. Hey,
Mouse Talk. I'm rich with friendships. Hi, everybody.
I love that.
Hey, Mouse Talk, if you're that rich, take me to dinner tonight. That's okay. Jeffrey Resendez, good to see you. Hi, more sunshine.
More sunshine, please, Jim. He's awesome. I love him. I missed a show on Tuesday because now Zippity Doo Dad, who I'm a member of, and More Sunshine, please. I have to choose. And I can't listen to both because me being deaf in one ear, it causes an issue.
Walt, if you haven't heard from me this week, I have not. I'll watch the replays, but I haven't watched your stuff this week because you can ask Caitlin. She knows. I've been streaming every day this week. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Mouse Talk is going live, I believe, I'm pretty sure from Magic Kingdom tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Talk,
is that right, Mouse Talk? I'm finally not streaming tomorrow.
Epcot.
Walt will be live at Epcot tomorrow at 11, and may have a special guest joining the stream.
Oh, that's right,
I wonder
Jim,
who that would be, Jim. I wonder. I know a little about Jim's schedule.
Bob, don't worry about me. I'm glad you're streaming so often. Okay, Mouse Talk says Epcot tomorrow and MK on Sunday. Yes.
There you go. Awesome.
Unfortunately, I have to work on tomorrow. I had unexpectedly, my work had to tell me that I had a truck on Sunday. The retail industry is going into full swing again. Saturday trucks are fun.
And then
because they could not come on time.
And then we have this song,
Tightrope. This is beautiful.
Which is very beautiful, and the only solo that Charity Barnum, played by Michelle Phillips, has in the film.
She's phenomenal in this movie.
Yeah, this is Heath Ledger's ex before he passed away, and she only shows up once in a while in films, but she is very talented. She has a great voice. She's a great actress. And, basically they're at this tenuous point. They are walking a tightrope of their relationship and their family. He's spending more and more time away traveling around the country with the beautiful opera singer Jenny Lind, who is falling in love with PT, and maybe he is starting to feel a little bit of the same, although he eventually rejects that. And she, of course, sets him up with a scandal by kissing him on stage in front of
That made me
everybody,
so
even though
upset. When I
he,
saw that
I know,
moment the first time watching, I'm like, really?
I
You
know.
do that in front of a camera?
And back then, when there's scandal like that,
You have to wait a few weeks.
the banks literally will say, we're taking your house. So I think it was between the scandal, because nobody was going to give him a loan, and the fact that at the end of Tightrope, he comes back after the kiss and everything else. And so his wife leaves him and the circus burns down. All this stuff is happening. And because, of course, he's ignored the troupe, who are feeling more and more,
The circus didn't burn down yet at the end of Tightrope.
I think it burns down. In between this and from now on, it burns down. Once he gets back. Yeah.
He comes early back from that after that whole scandal. Doesn't tell Charity anything, which, first of all, please tell your wives when you do that, because that shows honesty and integrity. And we all make mistakes. We're human. You don't have to lie. I don't know why the world has to lie sometimes. For birthday parties and surprises, that's fine, but not that way.
I'm on my 4th marriage now, and I have finally learned, but I have to say that when I was your age and something happened like that, I thought it was better to not hurt somebody, and it made it worse. So, yeah, poor PT.
I haven't dated at all, and I'm 24, so luckily I learned a thing or two.
Yeah. Well, you're all out there on YouTube now. That'll probably end pretty soon.
Well, we'll see. My sister's already had 2 relationships, and she's not even 18 yet.
Well, I don't know. 63 or not, you've got a guy who's time stamping your every giggle. So I think he has a crush on you. I'm not sure about that. So.
Well, that's way too much. Plus, also, the disability in dating is awkward, especially with autism. It's even worse because you don't know social cues.
Oh.
So even if I think someone's like trying to get to know me in that kind of way, I don't know, because it's like my emotions. I'm just black and white. It's either you do or you don't. So. That makes it difficult. That's why I'm kind of waiting until I'm physically feel like I'm ready, or I'm starting to pick it up on my own. That's what I'm trying to tell. And Ellie's like, well, you know that I'm probably going to get married first and have kids first. I'm like, go ahead. I said, I told her, I'll probably start dating once I'll be at Disney, because then I'm in a comfortable place where I have a common connection with people. Which would be easier. Anyways, long story short. Oh, hi, Robin.
And we're going to be back there soon, too. I know we are.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after that, the circus burns. Basically, PT, because he was so full of being like a star at the spotlights and everything, as there are parts of this song go, he doesn't do the right thing with his family. He doesn't do the right thing with his circus troupe. He forgets what's important. Well,
and also the circus burned down because of the rioters, because they started going into the building and starting to fight with the troupe, which you saw several times throughout the film, and it would get worse.
He wasn't there.
Worse
he wasn't there to kind of control it. It got out of hand. And Daddy was away.
And one of the rioters were taking the lantern, which I never thought it could start a fire that way. But now that I think about it, I'm like, that's totally a fire hazard. Probably would not go up code
way back
nowadays.
then, they had a lot of fires. If you look back in history, they had lots of famous buildings, famous hotels, and all kinds of things burned down because there were no sprinklers in buildings. There, if you had a fire like that, boom, it was gone. So that was very prevalent.
What's crazy, I think, is that the first circus was ever in a building, and I'm trying to imagine how that would be, because you're so used to the tent.
It's a brick building.
I'm trying to imagine that, and I'm sure it was a totally different energy and a vibe coming from a building. However, I feel like for me as hard of hearing person. This is my hard of hearing mind going through. Don't mind me here. But I feel like it would be more echoey because the ringmaster, overcasts his voice when introducing acts. Because I live near what's the town? Oh, the brain is missing. But Madison, they had the head of the Barnum Bailey Circus at the time.
Right.
Was there. And my mom ended up getting me, like, somehow the year I was born, they were having a thing where they could get, like, one ticket, but it was good for their entire life, kind of a thing.
So you've been to the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus then?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Several times. And I think my mom said that I was fascinated. Because I asked her, I said, what was my first experience when I kind of got into 12, 13? She said, you were kind of fascinated with everything, but you were hesitant on some of the animals. They looked intimidating to you. However, she said you did have some issues with the microphone because the speakers obviously wasn't the best. And they would static. Well, static to an autistic kid and also somebody with who has 1 ear. It's like 10. That's like 10 statics a day.
Yeah. And
it was too much. She's like, you loved it except for the screeching.
I never had a problem with clowns. A lot of people have clown phobias, but I always like seeing the clowns. I know I would have felt bad for the animals. Oh no, really? I would have felt bad for the animals if somebody would have told me as a 5-year-old, well, do you know how they treat these animals? But I enjoyed the circus for a little while it was still politically correct. I don't even think do they even have circuses anymore in the United States? I don't even know.
There's some, but I don't think they do with animals anymore.
Really?
I think the only ones left are like Animal Kingdom, SeaWorld.
Right.
Even though SeaWorld is controversial still with one of their animals, but
all the killer whale footage where the killer whale gets upset and
yes.
Just give me the treat and stop taunting me.
Yeah. Yeah. However,
so here he is.
Clarify, there is no animals in this production. They're all CGI. People still got mad about that. I say
That's
to the
true.
Karens of this movie.
They did.
Just to say to the Karens of this movie, they're not real animals.
No.
They were just to reflect the end of the movie with the big circus theatrical, what we remember the circus now time.
There's no way. It would have been so expensive trying to have lions jumping through flaming hoops and parading elephants. And it was CGI is expensive, but less than that.
Well, everyone that the people who didn't like this movie were saying something about the animal scenes all the time with people.
Anybody that's seen Jumanji should know a CGI animal. That's.
But yet again, I will say with this movie, it does look more lifelike than some of the other CGI movies that came around that time, because that's when it started really getting better. And I noticed that with Beauty and the Beast, it got better. And it would get better. And I haven't seen Lion King because my cast member friends of mine who love the Lion King, they did not like it at all. They were boycotting it.
Jungle Book and The Lion King were both done by Jon Favreau, who is now known for The Mandalorian, of course, and he developed a lot of new.
I would have never known.
He developed a lot of new technology for the animal. How realistic they looked in those two movies. So
I love the Jungle Book, but Lion King, my friends were not happy about.
Yeah,
they didn't like seeing a repeat of the entire movie.
Talk to Walt from Mouse Talk about how he feels about the live action.
Yes. Yeah.
Live action Lion King. He did not like that so much. All right, so then
greatest show, the greatest way to
talking about lions jumping through flaming hoops and elephants and everything else, and right at the end,
running through hoops too.
Right, they've got. Reminds
me of the swinging monkey. The what the monkeys' names from the festival, The Lion King. What's the name? The Tumbler monkeys? Is that it?
Is that what they call them?
Yeah, the Tumbler monkeys from the festival, The Lion King. The ones that they do on the bars. They
Right,
go on
right.
gymnastics regular bars.
And they even have their own
I
float
I
sometimes.
watched college. I watched college and Olympic gymnastics, actually, female and male, and I kind of wish they kind of made a separate version for Paralympians, because I do think that it's possible. They just can't use some of their function. They could do it in a different way, like something like acro or something. Anyways, Greatest Show shows the transition between P.T. Barnum retiring, kind of throwing his hat off to the
Yeah.
next generation, and then Zac Efron's character Philip Carlisle takes over. You see the whole troupe kind of do this great song, which is greatly choreographed, and it's great. And I learned some of the choreograph because they posted it on their YouTube channel. So if you want to learn parts of this last number, you can learn that. And it's fantastic. And then the end of the film ends with
and they go from a building to a tent, the big top that everybody knows. So it's basically P.T. Barnum finally at his best, coming into what everybody knows him for, the elephants and, you know, all the animals that we were just talking about and all the show. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's a great sort of a finale, even a little corny, but it's nice. You know, he hands the reins over to Philip, Zac Efron, you know, with the hat to be the next.
And the ending and that high note he hit, I was like, yes.
And then he jumps on an elephant. He jumps on one of the troops' elephants, and goes down the middle of the street and is like, pardon me, up to the steps of this. I guess they're going to the theater
for the concert for
the concert.
Daughter.
And he just jumps off the elephant and runs up
Caroline.
who's the ballerina.
First of all, she did phenomenal in this movie, and I need to concern her because nowadays with ballet, you're not supposed to be on point. That's what it's called when your feet, you know, go straight up.
That looks so painful.
You're not supposed to go. You don't go on point until you're like 17, 18.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm trying to imagine how to film that without hurting herself. I'm hoping that an adult filmed just the feet part.
It was CGI.
Oh, is it CGI?
No, I doubt it. She was on her feet. But you know what? In the beginning, do you remember when she was first learning a little bit, that scene at the bottom of the steps in the house?
Yes.
Her feet looked kind of oblong. Like there was a piece of wood. If you look at that again, there's something solid in where the toes are, so they might have been helping her.
Well, I'm hoping that they just haven't had her do it for long, because you're not supposed to do that when you're still growing.
Right. Well.
Anyways, and then
what a movie, right? I mean,
well, the best part of the ending, I think, is Zac Efron's character and Ann Wheeler, who was Zendaya, kind of rally the troop again, and then they finish with the kiss, and then they move on to Charity, where, you know, he's in a total 180 from the beginning of the movie. You know, seeing the suit in the window, the store window, and imagining this life. He's living it now. And he's in the theater watching Caroline and her other daughter, and I can't remember the other.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing opening too. We haven't really talked about that. You're watching the movie, and it literally goes from title to, you know, him striking various poses, again going to those beats like the hammer and everything else with the cane, and he's striking poses, and you can see his troop through the slats of the stadium stands, and then all of a sudden they're doing this big number, and then you realize that it's this imagination of this poor little kid who's standing in a window, and there's a red suit and a hat where he can literally see himself, you know, 40 years from now, and what he's going to be doing, his dream in a million years. So that was a cool opening.
And the ending of the film, I think it's really cute, because they put Caroline. This is solo in the ballet, which you obviously, when you follow Caroline's story, you're so excited she got it because she almost gave up on the ballet at some point because of what people have said. And she kind of overcame that. She became so good. And then her younger sister was in it as a tree. I don't know if you remember that.
She was. I do remember that. It was one shot. Yes, with her.
It was great. I laughed. I was like, that was a great comical moment. Hi, Disinfinity.
Hey, Disinfinity, how are you? What's going on, man?
No worries. You're never late. You're on time. That's how it goes on my channel because not many people watch mine. So I think we almost went to almost 19 watching in one stream, which is pretty awesome.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, great. That cameo moment was such a cool comical moment. And you don't even realize it until you watch it again.
It was funny. I forgot it until you just mentioned it.
and then he says the same thing when he does right after he finishes his imagination scene, and he says that it's anything you ever wanted, it's everything you ever needed, but it's here in front of you. Like it's telling you, go achieve that dream, which is like happily ever after in a quick 2-liner instead of a 3-minute song.
Yeah. This is a film.
I think we need your overall review. We're going to go to overall reviews. We're going to do some quick goodbye notes, and we're going to go from there.
All right.
What do you think of this overview?
Okay, I'll tell you. I did a thing with, it was like 50 for my thing for the movie marathon week. The most famous scenes of movies of all time, and I started talking about movies that. All kinds of genres of movies that people had never seen. One, The Outlaw Josie Wales, which is a Western by Clint Eastwood, which is way better than any of the ones that people know. Better than that, which was actually an anti-war statement, all that kind of stuff. Even if you're a person that thinks that they won't like a musical, this is one of those very well-crafted films where you can't really, it'd be hard to not like this film. Like E.T. or something like that. It's a feel-good movie. It's got a lot of good and catchy songs, and it doesn't really feel. It starts and there's lots of movement and lots of plot. Going along and moving. There really isn't a boring moment. In this day and age, where we really need to be talking about inclusion. And for all of us Disney files here who, they have rainbow everything, talking about inclusion, this is something that really, really is a lot deeper than just a lightweight movie with pop tunes in it as well. It actually says a lot more, like most great films. And so that's why I could keep watching it.
Okay. And
long story short.
Absolutely. So I think my review after watching this movie for the first time, I thought, what a great way of showing how disabled life should be seen in the way that we should be represented in media. The one thing, if I had to ask to do that, I would ask for them to include more characters who are actually disabled. That's a really big problem in the entertainment industry overall. It's not just film. For example, the biggest issue I have is with the Big Bang Theory. Everyone keeps telling me that means me for random people on the street that I tell them I'm autistic. They say, well, aren't you like Sheldon and like an academic genius? Because they know that Sheldon's autistic in the series. And I said, no, that's a stereotype. Not everyone's a genius that has a disability. And it shows a foreshadowing. And unfortunately, there was nobody who was actually autistic to film that. And that's a problem with media. Neurotypical, which is a show on Netflix. So I do enjoy watching it, just to watch it. However, not all of the writing, even though there was a disabled actor, all the writing was made by neurotypicals. So how are you supposed to convey a disability like autism and share the difficulties with dating? Actually, that one shares about dating and how dating goes in a male mind. and it's written by neurotypicals, and I'm like, how are you supposed to convey what our experience like if you've never been in our shoes before? And that's why I think that's the only thing I wish they would have done more. There is a couple disabled people in this film. Tom Thumb, I can't think of the name of his actor. He just had a surgery recently, really life-threatening surgery. He's obviously in the disabled world. And then there's one from the middle that's pretty famous, but I can't remember his name. He was in his like teens when he did the middle. I can't think of his name.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in an episode of Extreme Makeover Home Edition, which was our favorite TV show to watch every Sunday night. Oh, I can't remember his name, but I think that's the only thing in the sequel. If they could do something more, is to add more disabled characters to this list, just to convey us more and have us being properly represented. There's some great disabled actors out there who can play the part well, that can obviously convey our experience on camera. And maybe pull some real emotion into it, because obviously people see it as, okay, there's these talented people. Well, we do come from somewhere, and sometimes the way that, I hate to say able-bodied, but able-bodied people see it differently than how us as actual people, see it, because our worlds are a lot different.
Hollywood has a terrible history.
We're used to stares in the grocery store. We're used to people saying little nitpicky comments all the time. We're used to people kind of staying away from us. It's still things you see in this film that still happen today. And that's an unfortunate reminder that we haven't really advanced much as a human species, and that we have a lot more work to do. But other than that, music is great, choreography is great. The theme and the upbeat positivity into this movie is great. And when you leave the theater, you feel better than when you came in. It's one of those movies you walk out and you feel better than what you did before. And it released on Christmas, which I think is the perfect time slot. Right. However, it did like one of the worst box opening weekends for this film.
It did bad, yeah.
But then people started singing and they got obsessed, and once the soundtrack came out, it exploded. We watched it, I think, the weekend after Christmas, because my sister's birthday ends up being on Christmas Eve, so obviously we try not to ruin that. Plus, obviously, a lot of things aren't open on her birthday, which kind of stinks. But
there have been a lot of films that have had releases where they didn't make money and nobody heard about them, and I mean, It's a Wonderful Life is a classic, a Christmas movie now, and it didn't become classic for 40 years until it started being played on TV a lot, because somebody forgot to renew the rights, so it was free to air on TV. And then it was made in 1946, but didn't become a classic until 1986.
That's crazy.
Blade Runner, everybody hated. That came out in the 80s, became a cult classic over the years, and then they just spent a lot of money 3 years ago making a sequel. I didn't see this in the theaters when it came out, but I'm watching it a lot on Disney Plus right now.
Oh, I watched it. I bought the movie. I bought it on DVD. I bought the digital because I love the music so much, and I think this was portrayed so well. And it deserves a positive spotlight. So for me, my grade scale would be an A on my book. Great film. This is actually one of my favorite films outside of Disney. Most of you guys know I pretty much stick to animated films most of the time. I don't really stick to live action or a lot of it, because you have to be careful with special effects and live actions, especially for someone like myself with sensory issues. Star Wars movies are no-go. I tried watching them. It was too much. It was too much, the special effects. And it kind of interfered with the story for me. The story was hard to follow, especially with the side effects. If you can imagine a lightsaber right in front of somebody's lips and they're saying something, and you depend sometimes on lip reading, causes an issue. And unfortunately, at that time of filming movies, they didn't think about lip reading or any hard of hearing individuals. Also, grade A for captioning on this film. Disney Plus, you are doing phenomenal on captioning, and keep doing captioning, because I saw Hamilton recently for the first time, I think about a month or two ago. The best piece of captioning I have seen in my 24 years of life. And that says a lot, because I've had a lot of captions throughout my life. Also, the White House, please put captioning on the debates. The last couple debates I've had, there's been 0 captions. And that's illegal, for one. And 2, that's creating a lot of accessibility issues. Everyone deserves to make a choice to vote. Not getting political.
Yes.
The only thing is go vote.
Yeah.
Problem is you can't make a decision without hearing
There are
them
still
out.
a lot of countries where people wish they had that right, at least. I mean, no matter what your views are, that would be a good idea to do that.
Valid point. So we're about to close the show. Sorry to be a little bit late. You guys know that I'm the hype party every week to Dole Whip Dad's Disney Pins Live episode. His episode this week is about the virtual pin event. I believe that's held by Disney Pins Vlog. We'll go over and send them. When you guys are with me, you guys have to go over to his channel and say it's a Blue Crew invasion. Basically tell him that, hey, Kate from the Blue Crew is sent you guys over, so that's what I would love for you to do. If you guys also want to watch Monarch Moments, they are also going live. Brock and Robin said that they were making fish today, which sounds weird. Which is interesting. So if you guys go over to Monarch Moments, also please go and use the hashtag Blue Crew Invasion in their stream. Also, just tell them, hey, Caitlin sent you. Also, just to give a big clarification, guys, make sure you guys watch both of our streams. I gotta show it in the bottom here. Please continue to support us on our cast member streams, both of us. Please share it out to everyone you could possibly know. This is really important to the both of us. We are former Disney cast members. We want to make magic for others who have been working for the parks for a long time. Some people that are working 20, 25 years with the company and found out they lost their job. I think for us as fans, I think we should all stand together and tell cast members that we love you, we appreciate you, and we're going to help you get through this, because it's going to be affecting all of us. I also have messaged Dana from Magic Maker. She is committed to an interview with me. Date coming up in the future. Also this week, we also have the Polka Dot podcast, Jackie. She has contacted me and wanted to share my DCP story on her podcast. So that's going to go, I'm filming it on Wednesday, and I don't know when it's going to be posted, but once she gives me the date of okay, I will be able to share it. It'll go on my Instagram and my Twitter. Make sure you guys pop out for that. Also, again, thank you for Dean for hosting this whole movie marathon week. You have done phenomenal with this week, and I think you should do this again next year. Make this a dedicated week every year. I think this would be so much fun. Plus, it gives awesome. You have a lot of topics to go through, so I think that's a lot of fun. So, guys, make sure you guys go check out Dean from the Live Place Streamers Empire Live Place on YouTube, as well as streamersempire.com and the liveplace.com. If you guys want to check out any of the events from this past week, make sure you guys click on the movie filters when you're on the liveplace.com. Otherwise, you won't see the movie dedicated to streams. Because I
loved my segment of Dean's thing so much that my stream went for 2 hours and 11 minutes. They couldn't even shut me up. It
was so great. And again, Allie, my sister here, wants to thank all of you guys for her tremendous support on her drawing Instagram. If you guys haven't joined her, please go and join her. This is her only public social media that you guys will be able to follow. And you guys all know that she's an artist. She's also currently making a drawing for Zippity Doodad that's going to go in his brand new studio. And I hope all of you will enjoy that. With that, Bob, do you have any things that you want to share to the audience for what's coming up this week?
Yeah, we're going to continue streaming a lot. I have a lot of people lined up, but like with one of the ones I did last week, it was actually a mystery guest because of all the schedules moving around. So I will be interviewing somebody on Wednesday. It's a mystery to me right now who it is. And I'll be streaming from the parks as well. As a laid-off cast member, I've got passes to the parks up until my official release date on December 4th, and I still can't get an annual pass. So I'll be streaming from the parks a lot until the beginning of December. And
Are they allowing you guys as laid off to have different schedules than current working cast members? Have they changed that at all?
no, same thing. So it's sort of blocked out in a weird way. So I'm blocked out for this weekend, and then I've got, 3 or 4 days in the middle of the week. Looks like you're blocked out for the weekends and have like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of every week up until.
They changed it because I didn't see any news that you guys gotten any dates yet. So I'm glad to hear you guys are at least getting a couple days.
They're trying to give us something. They feel so bad. When I got laid off, the people that called me, I felt worse for them than they did for me. They just sounded like a truck had run them over. So
it was a sad day at Disney this last week. I can tell you that.
Yes,
thousands
it really
of
was.
cast members. And if you're a former cast member that are here that has ever made magic, whether you're a college program alumni like myself, full-time, part-time CMs like Bob, in any aspect of Disney, and that is including the 27 companies that Disney owns, you are a part of the cast member family. And if you've gotten laid off from this COVID-19 situation, please do that. Also, please, I got an update today. Hire Disney. There is a LinkedIn trend that says #Hire Disney. Tons of recruiters from other companies around the world, around the US, are actually looking at the hashtag to help furloughed cast members. Also, some recruiters have also shared that information on their LinkedIn. So if you guys follow any recruiters on LinkedIn, go ahead and check out their page. They'll show you the Hire Disney. Please go and make sure you guys support cast members. If you're a business owner, try getting remote jobs or supporting small businesses of cast members. We really could use all the help we can to share our love with our cast member family. Cast member family, we love you. We know what it's like to leave the magic and not know when you're going to come back. Luckily, Bob, you guys have kind of callback dates until 2 years from now. October 2022 is what I've heard.
Yeah, there's a lot of different information for different roles and whatever's going on. My whole department was actually kind of evaporated.
Okay.
So they wouldn't be calling me back to that. But like I keep joking with you, I'll take whatever I can.
Absolutely.
So if you see Caitlin and I sprinkling pixie dust on your safety bar, that really is us. Please subscribe to One Stop Mouse. Please subscribe to One Stop Mouse and check in on what we're doing. Okay.
What? I always treat guests as Pete does, because I think he says it so well. He says, if you like my content, you'll most likely like his, but make sure you guys watch some content and make sure you actually will enjoy continuing watching it, and then subscribe. And that's how Pete found me. I'm actually on, big update about that before I forget. Pete McDevitt, I was supposed to be on his Chillin' with Wednesday episode on January 6th. For those of you guys who saw his last stream on Wednesday or on Sunday, you guys know that that a author called Positivity Disney, she's done tons of books about cast member journey. She's interviewed people like Bob Gurr, who's like a big person with ABC that was at Disney for a long time. He was able to secure her, and that was the only date she had available. So for those of you who want to still follow my stream, the new updated time is in my collaborations with other creators playlist. It will currently be on the docket for March 24th. He says he's going to try to move it up if he can, but he wants to get me in. He said, you were one of the first people I wanted to get on the show, because he's like, you're one of the rare in the disability community as a young adult. You have a lot to share. Plus, it's a lot of fun to see you, and you're a vegetarian, and you're living a plant-based lifestyle. Like, kind of rare in the Disney world to have a plant-based eater who loves talking about Disney, because there's not many of us. So, just to update you guys there. Make sure you guys go check out Pete McDevitt's stream on Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern. He's doing a stream based on his medical journey with his old ordeal, because most people have been asking him, and he's just going to make a video about it. I will be joining him. He personally asked me to be a part of it. He says, I've been in this community since birth. Obviously, he's fairly new to the disabled world. So I will definitely be there helping support him get through this, because obviously sharing your story almost a year ago is not an easy thing to give. So done everything. Please go and check out his stream. Make sure you guys like it, and make sure you guys say that Caitlin sent you, because that would mean the world to me. And make sure to tell him that, keep going. That's pretty important. For me with videos this week, take a look out on the 15th of October at around 1 p.m. Eastern. I am releasing my game board stream with Irene and Mark Keyword, The Wonderful World of Walter. They sent a awesome box of box swap goodies. And I'm kind of excited to show you guys because I've been holding off showing anything in the streams until that video comes out. And it's been so great. And I actually tried having one of the things with my movie today with Greatest Showman, but then I decided no, I should probably wait until the streams until the video releases.
Just finish it.
Yeah, and then Polka Dot Podcast, as soon as that's ready to go, I will let you guys know on social media. And make sure you guys go watch Dan's episode of Polka Dot Podcast. I learned so much about international casting and what Disney look for.
Oh, yeah.
Especially face-to-face, because DCP does not do face-to-face. Well, he had to do 2 face interviews. One with Yummy Jobs is like an agency that's in between to help get to Disney to a final number. And then he goes to the Disney headquarters in London.
Wow. I had 3 interviews. Actually, for what I did, I had 3 interviews. I remember that.
Lucky you.
And I was so happy. I was so happy that my wife was FaceTiming me on a phone while she was on a bus, and the whole and when I said I had gotten hired, I guess I sounded so excited the whole bus cheered.
Oh, that's awesome! You have to tell us that story.
I will. Also, I'm going to tell you something else in a second when we get off.
Sounds good.
That might make you understand about me being a little bit more in the same boat as you and Pete.
Yeah.
So,
alrighty.
Yeah.
To everyone here, thank you guys for joining us on this magical episode. As always, catching up with Caitlin. Make sure you guys check out next week. Next week, I should probably have information about what I'm streaming over while I'm in the parks on Halloween weekend.
I do have a special guest on October 28th. There's this woman that sort of looks like Caitlin. She gets giggles time stamped. You might find her familiar because that's her. And the other people, every Wednesday between now and then, there'll be people, and I'll announce it. But I don't want to put the wrong person on the wrong Wednesday because they're all up in
we
the
are
air.
Confirmed.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus, I usually typically work mornings, so nights are usually clear
good.
for me.
Are you a night owl? You got to be a night owl because I think I've sent you I think I've sent you things at 11:30 at night, and you email me right back. So
I do a little bit of both. I have shift tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. So
I won't be emailing you late.
After this.
No, once I get off, that's it. Sorry.
No worries.
Thank you very much for having me on, Caitlin. This was fun talking about this great movie.
Have to do another maybe we'll have to do a cast member stream sometime.
We should.
I told Dan. I said, Dan, we need to have a cast member edition of Disney Fiasco.
That's a good one.
And I said that would be a great episode. And I said a lot of CPs could watch it to get more information. ICPers can get information. Regular cast members can get information. Because we got Kelly from the Mickey Bunch. We got you. We got me. I have a few people that I know of in the DCP community. So yeah, I think it needs to happen. So Dan, I know you'll watch the replay because it's way too late in the UK. But man,
Hey Dan, how are you? I'm sure you're watching this a little late.
Oh, Dan, Disney Dan, Rockin' Robin, Disney Dan. Who Rockin' Robin? DCP community. I know Olaf and Olivia. She did the same location and same program as me, but in fall of 2015. And she filmed everything. She's kind of awesome. And other things like that. So reminder, go send hashtag Blue Crew Invasion to the to Go Whip Dad as well as the Monarch. Go Whip Dad, yeah, and Monarch Moments. Make sure you guys support them both. Say, hey, Caitlin sent you. And again, as cast members, like both of us, have liked to say, have a magical night, everyone. And I will see you in my next stream next week.
Real soon.
Maybe a surprise one on Instagram.
Or she could be sneaking up behind you wherever you are tomorrow in a supermarket. You don't know her. Okay. All right, goodbye. We gotta go. We're at 11:34. People are gonna.
Bye, guys.
All right. Hold on a second, Caitlin. Don't throw me out yet.
I won't.
Just take